All right, just one last midnight. Welcome back to another episode of Valheim. Well, it's update time again, and a new version is out, 0.150.3, and it's got some really interesting changes in it. So one of the biggest changes, and the reason why this took so long, is because they were working on a new terrain modification system. And it's supposed to reduce the number of network instances and making loading faster and more smoother. All new changes will take effect with the hoe and the pick, but old changes, if you've got yourself a world that has a lot of terraforming in it, like this one, will require you to run a console command. And you will need to run the op terrain command console command. Now, I haven't run it yet, but we are going to run it. We're going to see if it does anything that's kind of different. So currently I'm getting about 35, 40 frames a second. And if I run this command, let's see what it does. So I made a bunch of changes. I dropped down to 14 frames per second for about a second there. I don't know. I don't know how big the radius of this command is because it says in an area. And so you run the command for an area. And I guess, okay, that needed to be optimized. I guess this is not a very large radius that this is happening in. So you're going to have to run around your map and run this command over and over again for things that you've tried to optimize or for things that need to be optimized. That's a little bit weird. I guess you're just going to have to remember where you optimize and where you didn't optimize. So I think it's going to be a little tough if you've got buildings all over the place. I think you're just going to have to run around and, you know, try to optimize areas in which you've built in to get it to optimize. I'm not seeing any frame rate increases. I think I've optimized this area completely. Let me fly out again and fly back in again and see if it loads a little bit differently. Yeah, hard to tell. Hard to tell. I mean, you see the terrain changes did load in first. So I'm assuming that that's what they're expecting this to do. Interesting. We're going to have to play with this some more. There was a fix to Draugr spawners, and Draugr spawners should no longer allow for Draugrs to spawn inside of the stone. For those of you guys that have been and battled inside of the swamp before, you'll notice that sometimes a Draugr will appear inside the stone. It looks like they're appearing right on top of the spawner now, not off to the sides of the spawner, which is good, right? So you don't have to worry about being sniped by a Draugr that's sitting there inside of a stone and you're unable to kill them off. Oh, look at you. Tough Draugr. Another change that was made is that there was a decrease in the amount of stone that it takes to raise the ground from 4 down to 2. And that's a nice little change because it took a lot of stone to raise ground. But there's a whole new downside to this. So previously, if you guys, when I made this wall, there's a video that I have up there for the wood farm. You're able to get on the top and just, you know, click off to the side to raise the ground. And it would raise the whole pillar. You can no longer do that anymore. So bye-bye are the days when you could get some free walls just by clicking off to the side here and raising the ground once. Now you're forced to actually raise the ground from the bottom on up to get your ground placed. There was a defect that was fixed with torches in location could support constructions, and they can no longer support constructions. So I'm wondering if you log into the game and, you know, if you did build off some torches, if you can, if they just fall down now, I have no idea. There is also a change to the sound effects for your pet locks. I guess it had the wrong sound effect, but now it is fixed. And there was an additional change to the dolmen. The dolmen are these guys right here. There was a previous change in another build that supposedly stopped these things from falling. This one, as you can see, they still fall. Maybe because this is not a new game, I'm not too sure. But they changed the size of the rock. I think they're trying to make sure that these things don't fall down. Unfortunately, in this particular save, they still have that problem, but hopefully it's resolved for new saves. But again, the biggest change being made was the terrain modification system. Honestly, from what I'm experiencing right now, you can see my frame rate drop down to 15 frames per second, and this is supposed to be an optimized area. Before I ran the optimization, it was at 40 frames a second. So I'm ultimately don't know what's happening with the terrain modification system. I don't know if it's working correctly or if it's just having problems with older saves. No idea. They also made some changes to the world loading tweaks. They fixed some issues where ships and buildings were getting damaged on load. And then also they stopped downloading the server list when you leave the main menu. And that was to decrease the network bandwidth usage. And that's it for the changes in Valheim 0.150.3. Hopefully they get some of these things resolved. I'm probably just going to have to start a new world to see if a lot of these terrain problems I'm having go away with a new world. But hopefully not, because of course I've invested a lot of time in my world and I don't want to give it up. Well, that's it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button. If you're not a subscriber, please subscribe. Would love to have you in the community. If you want to follow me on any of my social media, you can find the links in the description below. And make sure to hit that notification bell. That way you know when I go live and when I post new videos. I'll talk to you soon. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.